At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality bikes, which might lead to another discovery. Getting back on the saddle isn't always comfortable. Good news is Sierra has massage guns. And chafe wipes, too. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
I guarantee you that the thing you brought up, the reason that it came to your awareness, the reason you thought about it, wasn't because it was easy. It wasn't because everything went as planned. It was because you didn't know whether or not you were going to be able to pull it off, that you didn't know if you were going to be able to finish your degree. You didn't know if you were going to be able to heal from your breast cancer. You didn't know if you were going to be able to blah, blah, blah. And you did. And that's why when I bring up that suggestion, that's what comes to your mind. It's letting kids experience those things and with love and support and guidance, helping them get to the other side. And that's the malleability that we want to talk about.
Welcome to Season 7 of Flusterclux with Lynn Lyons, where we'll talk about managing anxiety and all the other emotions too. We tackle the serious stuff without being too serious. I'm your co-host, Robin. I'm Lynn's sister-in-law, and I'm here to ask your questions.
And I'm Lynn Lyons. I'm an anxiety expert, speaker, mom, and author. I've been a therapist for 35 years. Parenting can be a flusterclux, and I'm here to help you find your way. I'll tell you what to do and what to say. Hey, Ed.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm good.
So are you seeing clients today?
I am actually. So we are recording this midday and I have clients this afternoon and into the evening. You know, when you're in the psychotherapy business and you work with families, my busiest times are like from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah.
I took our son to the orthodontist last night and his appointment was at 7:45 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was packed.
Really?
But you figure all of the doctor's clients are 13 years old, so he has to see them after school.
Yeah. We both had braces.
Yes.
How are your teeth?
Some of Dr. Ginsburg's work has been undone by time.
Yeah.
But generally pretty good.
I had Dr. Ginsburg as my second orthodontist. My first orthodontist got hit by a... I shouldn't laugh.
No, you should not.
Got hit by a bus while he was on a moped in Bermuda. He did not die, but he had a very bad injury to one of his arms.
Yeah.
In the middle of my treatment, which meant that sadly, my orthodonture went astray. And after a few years of being treated by this poor impaired orthodontist, we had to switch. So that I ended up finishing my treatment with Dr. Ginsburg. And then you jumped right into that after me. You're younger than I am, so I was paving the way.
Well, I have a friend who's married to her second husband, and she refers to her first husband as her starter marriage. So you had a starter orthodonture.
That's right. And I guess I have a starter marriage too, but I'm still in my starter marriage. But we've been together for 40 years, so I think it's going to stick.
At this point, you can say first and only.
Okay, that's nicer. That's better. He'd probably appreciate that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starter implies that things might shift in the coming decades.
That's true. Okay, so I'll just stick with, one and only. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nicer way of saying it. Yeah.
I was listening to one of your previous talks, and you used a phrase, doing the disorder.
Yes, I use that a lot.
You do. I think you should throw in aiding the disorder.
You think that would be clearer?
Yes, because I think when someone hears doing the disorder, if they're hearing it for the first time, they're like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I've never heard that phrase before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe aiding the disorder would be instantly clear.
Okay, that's a good tip. I am a big fan of alliteration.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, being Lynn Lyons and all that. So doing the disorder. And today what we're going to talk about actually also has the nice bonus of being alliterative as well.
Well, we had a subscription to People magazine in the 70s, and they did a lot of alliteration on their covers.
Did they?
Yes.
I feel like you're about to share a few of the highlights.
It would be like Betty White, faith, family, and the future. That's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, the three things. Let me just tell you, with all this teasing of alliteration, let me just tell you, Lynn Lyons is about to talk about permanence, positive expectancy, and placebos. We got the 3 Ps. A lot of the stuff I do actually, I do the 3 X's. I've talked about that. Expect, externalize, experiment. You can look at that I'm sure I've talked about that in previous episodes. But today we're going to talk about language, how we use language, these 3 little styles of language. One of them is bad and 2 of them are good.
Let's start with the bad one. We'll get that out of the way.
All right. We'll start with permanent. One of the things that we really want to pay attention to when our kids are absorbing information about the way they think, about their moods, about their relationships, is we really want to make sure that we talk about thoughts and feelings and disappointments and bumps in the road in a way that's malleable and temporary compared to a way that's permanent. And one of the things that's a little concerning to me right now, more than a little concerning actually, is that there's an awful lot of language around the permanence of certain struggles that kids are having. When we use this permanent language, we're basically saying to them, this is who you are. You're not going to change. And the interesting thing about permanent language, and they've done some really interesting research on this, is that when you tell kids that something they're experiencing is permanent, and this goes for adults as well, but adolescents in particular, they don't do the things we want them to do in order to improve their situation. If you were to hurt your elbow and you were to go to a physical therapist and the physical therapist said, all right, well, you've hurt your elbow, Ed. It's going to be like this forever. I'm going to give you some exercises to do.
Right.
But, it's not going to change anything. You wouldn't go home and do the exercises. But if we're talking about things like depression, anxiety, mood, if we're talking about normal adolescent bumps like rejection, broken heart, getting cut from a team, that kind of stuff, then we really want to make sure that we are marinating these brains in this idea of malleability, of things being temporary, of things being changeable.
And their own agency.
Right, exactly. That what you do matters. And when I hear the language, particularly when I'm hearing these influencers on TikTok and that kind of stuff, talking about how you feel or how you're managing something as your identity, and what they call it in the research as, they say, centralizing identity, that means that you begin to believe that that is who you are. And when that happens, then we see kids really not improving, or we see families really not doing sometimes the hard work that you have to do in order to break patterns. It's funny when you look back at the phrases we have in our language and sort of even those cliched sayings, sleep on it, things will be brighter in the morning. How many times have you had something going on and you're just stuck in it, and then you do sleep on it, and you wake up the next day and it just doesn't feel as big, or it doesn't feel as unshakable as it did the day before? We really want kids to hear that. And there are a lot of labels, there are a lot of terms that I'm going to talk about more. If you saw, I did a recent post on Facebook about this, but that are really sort of cementing this idea that there's something permanently wrong. There was a great study that was done just last year where they looked at adolescents' beliefs about depression. And what this study said, and I'm going to quote directly from this study, adolescents who believe that depression is relatively permanent might feel less motivated to engage in effortful activation behaviors, instead favoring avoidance. So that's just a fancy way of saying, when kids are told this is who you are, when kids are told that this is a permanent condition, they don't do the active things that we know absolutely help them heal. And there's another study that was done this was looking at adults, and this was also done just a few years ago. And I'm going to quote from this study too. We found that treatment seekers' endorsement of a biomedical explanation for their symptoms was associated with pessimism about treatment being successful, which is not what we want kids to believe about themselves. Like, if you think about how parents talk to kids, in so many other ways, we'd never consider using that language. If our child was not invited to a birthday party and was sad about that, we wouldn't say, well, I guess this is indicative of you never being invited to a birthday party again. When you get the stomach bug and you're just on the floor and you feel awful, we don't say to our kids, you're going to feel like this forever. We say, this feels really bad right now, but it's going to end. I remember being in exam period during college and then in graduate school. I remember one year in graduate school, I had 6 papers I needed to write for the end of the semester. I planned it out so that I was going to write 1 a week, and I was fairly miserable. I just remember saying to myself, this will end. This will end.
Well, a central principle of a lot of religions or theories of belief is this too shall pass.
Right. There's another one of those sayings. Yeah. And so it really is interesting to me, if I'm being generous, because it really is kind of frustrating to me, that we would incorporate a language of permanence in the very place where we want kids to have expectancy that's toward change and malleability rather than stay where you are, right? You're always going to feel this way. You're always going to be this way.
And what would you say to a teenager who was in a tough place and said, well, I just don't believe you, Dad. I don't believe you, Mom. What is your response in that regard?
And what you said was just very key, is you said, it doesn't feel that way to me. And so one of the things we really want to talk to kids is feelings come and go. And the way you feel right now is probably not the way you're going to feel maybe tomorrow, but maybe in a few weeks. And then I would say, let's think about some other things that have happened to you that felt so devastating at the time. Remember the time when you got cut from the basketball team? Remember the time when we were going to go on that trip and you fell and broke your arm and we had to cancel the trip? Remember how devastated you were, how disappointed you were. But when we look back on that now, you have a different way of looking at it. You have a different way of experiencing it. You may still say, oh God, that was a terrible time, but it isn't devastating. And by the way, you made the team the next year and your arm healed and we took another trip. The idea that things change, the idea that things get better, and if we look at it in the most sort of dramatic and even frightening of parenting situations, when we're looking at kids who become suicidal, that is really the nature of that, is that why bother? Nothing that I do is going to change this. Nothing is going to matter. So we really want to pay attention to that language of permanence. And if anybody says to your kid, if a therapist says it, if any kind of health provider says, this is who you are, and you have this permanent condition, if we're talking about depression and anxiety, I would really, really pay attention to that language. It is absolutely harmful, and we know it from the research. So we've got these 3 Ps to talk about. We've talked about one that's the negative one, and then how about we take a break and then we'll come back and talk about the 2 more positive ones.
Sounds good.
Okay. So it's hard to eat healthy, isn't it? I mean, I need to have my house full of healthy snacks, healthy alternatives, and healthy meals. So that's why I love Thrive Market. It's like having a personal guide to healthier living for our families when they come to visit. Thrive Market makes it simple to find trusted, family-friendly brands without spending hours in the grocery store. From snacks and school lunches to packing healthy things when you travel, everything they offer is 100% non-GMO. And with their on-site filters, you can shop based on what matters most to your family. Are you interested in low sugar, gluten-free, organic? Are you trying to get that protein that they keep telling us we need to get? They're all just a click away. We can use those filters. We can put them into the Thrive Market app, and the Healthy Swap scanner, it scans a product you're used to buying and it instantly recommends a cleaner, healthier alternatives. I use this trying to find better crackers, trying to find better popcorn, even trying to find better cereals for kids to have in the morning before they go to school. For my family, this has been a game changer, and we have made some great swaps. If you are ready for a junk-free start to 2025, head to thrivemarket.com/fluster and get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's thrivemarket.com/fluster. thrivemarket.com/fluster.
Did you know that when your metabolism is working properly, you will feel the benefits in literally every aspect of your life? I found a valuable tool that gives me insights to create a healthy metabolism for my body, and it's called Lumen. It's the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath, and on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs, and it gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. And then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You could even breathe into it before or after workouts and meals so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. Metabolism is at the center of everything your body does. Optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, and critically better sleep. And it can track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through these hormonal shifts, so you can keep up your energy and stave off cravings. Take the next step to improving your health. Go to lumen.me/flusterclux to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/flusterclux for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
I love my cat. I've always had cats. Sometimes I have 4 cats. It's freezing outside. And there's a lot of predators out there. So guess what? My cat is an indoor cat. During the cold months of winter, every cat's an indoor cat. If there's one thing that can really stink up being stuck inside, it's the litter box. I know this for a fact. Don't let that nasty smell ruin your winter wonderland. Switch to Pretty Litter like I did. Pretty Litter's non-clumping formula traps odor and moisture. It's ultra absorbent, it's lightweight, low dust, and one 6-pound bag works for up to a month. Fantastic. Pretty Litter gives me peace of mind. It changes color to indicate early signs of potential illnesses in my little kitty, like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more, things we really want to pay attention to with our kitties. Since Pretty Litter ships right to my door, free shipping right to my door, I never run out. I don't have huge kitty litter bags taking up space. I don't have to go out in the cold and lug those huge tubs from a store to my car and into my house. Pretty Litter's Health Monitor gives you peace of mind. So, indoor cats and indoor humans agree, Pretty Litter helps my house smell fresh and clean. Go to prettylitter.com/flusterclux to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/flusterclux to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. prettylitter.com/flusterclux. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Okay, we're back. All right, Ed, you ready for the positive ones?
I'm ready.
All right. These will not surprise you because, of course, it's the other side of the coin, the other side of the penny. Oh, poor penny.
Oh, the penny.
Another P.
There you go.
Keeping the P theme going.
So to speak.
Here's the next theme, or here's the next term, positive expectancy. I alluded to that before. Positive expectancy is a term that we use to describe the anticipation that things can change. It is the opposite, of course, of believing that things can stay the same, believing that things are permanent. And one of the very first things that I do when I meet with families is to lay the groundwork for positive expectancy. My job, I feel like my job when they come in to see me, it's really all the time, but particularly when they first come in to see me, a lot of times they've been to other people, they're feeling particularly hopeless or worn out. My job is to say, this thing is treatable. I know what to do. And one of the questions that I ask that establishes positive expectancy, and I'm very consciously aware of my language in this, is I say to everybody, if this were to be successful, you know, you're talking about this, oh, we went and saw Lynn Lyons, or we went and saw this lady. And it was really helpful because let's just imagine it's 6 months from now, it's a year from now, and you're talking about how helpful and successful this time together is going to be. Tell me what you would say. This was very helpful because as I'm doing that, not only does it give me an idea of what they're looking for and what they want, but I am using language that is predicting that the future is going to be different than the present. Yeah. Say you had a bad tooth, right? And you went into the dentist and the dentist said, all right, let me look at what's going on there. And the dentist was like, oh boy, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything about this tooth. But if the dentist said, hey, look, I know what to do about this. And you said, I'm in an ice chewing contest 2 weeks from now. And the dentist was like, you'll be fine, Ed. You can do your ice chewing contest. That would set up positive expectancy.
Absolutely. It's a corollary to keeping a vanilla expression.
Yes.
When your children are having a meltdown or are nervous or anxious about something.
Yeah, that's right. Because our reaction to it, whether or not we are showing on our face or in our language, what we are predicting really makes a difference. And the opposite of positive expectancy, of course, we could say negative expectancy, but that's where that catastrophic thinking comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we're predicting. It's sort of like both times when I hurt my back, sort of like a regular person, and then when I broke my back, when I went to the orthopedist after I broke my back, the doctor said, you're going to be good in like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
My husband and I, neither of us could believe that based on the amount of pain that I was in, but I held on to that. I was back in the gym after 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He was
absolutely
right. But had he not said that to me, and he said, one of the things you need to do is you need to get moving. You need to get walking. We're looking at 4 to 6 weeks here. You're fit. You're strong. You can do this. That was incredibly helpful for me to hear.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like that at all at the time. I couldn't even move. But that's a good example of positive expectancy.
Well, particularly when you're struggling, some manner of external support can be hugely helpful to just aid your own internal support.
That's right.
A lot of people will talk about how, well, I had a third grade teacher 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And she used to prop me up when I was struggling.
Right. And we even remember phrases that those people said to us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's a prediction of things getting better in the future. And I want to make a distinction too, though, because people can pick up on sort of the silver lining thing, which can get annoying. And even that toxic positivity of everything happens for a reason. I hate that phrase. Or, you're going to look back at this and you're going to realize this was a really positive thing. Maybe not. The point of it is not to say that everything that happens that's bad is actually good. It's really saying that you can heal from this, that this won't last forever. And particularly when we're talking about relational and emotional states, that is really, really important. Really important.
So what's the third?
The third is placebo.
Okay.
And most people know what a placebo is. The way that this is applicable in terms of our language, is that words, actions, what you model can serve as placebos, which means the definition of a placebo is that it's generally an inert substance, something that doesn't really have any kind of intrinsic properties to it that make you better, but that by merely making the suggestion that this thing will help, it helps. There's a researcher named Irving Kirsch, and I would love to get him on the podcast, but he is a placebo researcher. I do think gosh, it would be amazing to be doing the work that he does and discovering what he does, because it's pretty darn fascinating. So a placebo, when they're studying the effectiveness of drugs, they always want to have one person taking the active substance and somebody else taking the placebo. We talk about a blind trial so that people can't figure out which one they're taking. If it's a double blind, that means that even the person who's administering either the active substance or the placebo doesn't know which one they're administering. A lot of studies with medications are unblinded, meaning that people can figure out, often based on side effects, what they're taking and what they're not taking, and that sort of distorts it. But the placebo research is really, really interesting. For example, and these are things that I've read and I've learned from Dr. Kirsch's work and also from Michael Yapko and from doing my own investigation into placebos. When you take a pill and it's a placebo, the color of the pill determines how effective the placebo response is. Because
that's interesting.
If it's white, not so much. But if it's colored, if it's purple or red, more powerful. And the perceived cost of the pill makes a difference too. So if somebody said, well, here, take this pill, this will really help with your anxiety. And it's great too. It's only 12 cents a pill.
Right.
You could use those pennies for that too, Ed, if you wanted. 12 cents a pill. But if I said to you, you know what, here's this pill, it's $57 per pill, you are going to have a better reaction to it. It's sort of like what they did with that $2 Chuck, that wine, remember?
Trader Joe's wine?
Oh, yeah. Is it Trader Joe's wine?
I think so, yeah.
And they put it in different packaging and they found that people couldn't really tell the difference. And when they were told that the wine was more expensive, they had more positive reviews of it. Sham injections and sham acupuncture works better than pills.
Wow.
Yeah. And they have found, this is really fascinating, they did a study with knee surgery, orthoscopic knee surgery. There was a study published in the British Medical Journal, which is like a hugely reputable journal, where they found that the surgery, whether they did the sham surgery, so they went in, didn't do anything, or they went in and fixed the issue in the knee, the people with the sham surgery did better long-term than the people who got the actual surgery.
Wow.
Yeah. And they published those studies and they still do the same surgery, even though the research said that the sham surgery was more effective.
Well, Dr. John Sarno is a great believer that back pain is, if not entirely, psychosomatic response.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Yeah. Well, and I've told that story probably on here. I tell it all the time, is that when I hurt my back the normal way, not the in the gym way, not the fall down the stairs way. And I went to that physical therapist and I could barely get out of the car when I got to the appointment. When she gave me the go ahead, when she said, you're going to be fine. This is a muscle spasm. There's no disc involvement. I made a miraculous recovery in the course of about a half an hour. I mean, not 100%, but I swear to God, 85% better because she told me I was going to be okay. Yeah. So it's really powerful. And when we think about, and we were just laughing about this, actually. We were watching the Westminster Dog Show last night.
Oh.
Yeah. So the giant schnauzer won best in schno, but the whippet won best hound.
Okay.
Which was really disappointing in our house because nobody loves beagles more than my husband. And the beagles are really cute. Whippets, do you know what a whippet is?
Skinny, not a lot of hair.
Yeah. You take a greyhound, you shrink it, and you addict it to cocaine. That's what I just, yeah. So the reason I say that, I was at a college several years ago, and there was this really lovely student who was helping me get the workshop set up and doing all this stuff. And she had with her an emotional support whippet.
Oh, boy.
Which I just found to be humorous, right? Because this is like the most neurotic dog you ever met. And it was cute. It was like trembling. It had a little orange vest on. And she was saying how much the dog helped her. And I was thinking to myself, okay, this is a total placebo because this girl she was telling me, like, when she got to college, she struggled with depression. She felt really lonely. She was very anxious to go places. And so she got this emotional support dog, which was a whippet. The reason she was better wasn't because the dog was taking care of her.
Yeah.
It was because she was taking care of the dog.
Getting out of her head. The dog needed her. She was taking the dog out. I'm sure that when she was walking around with her little neurotic whippet, that people were like, oh, what a cute little dog. It helped her connect with people. And so placebos can take all sorts of forms. I don't think these animals have any qualities that are different than any other pet that you love. Sure.
It's just a way, like you say, to get out of your head.
Mm-hmm. And engage in some activities that are just factually helpful. Going for a walk.
Yep.
Helping another human or another being.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing we know about volunteering when you're depressed.
Well, some people will say that they smoke cigarettes because it calms them down.
Yeah,
So you could do that, though, without a cigarette.
that's right.
Pause, stand outside,
Mm-hmm.
breathe deeply.
Mm-hmm. Chat with the other people that are also pretending to smoke cigarettes outside. It's interesting you should say that, because when I was working with a woman who wanted to stop smoking, and she told me that one of the reasons she didn't want to quit smoking was because she really enjoyed the people outside on her smoke break. So it was really the social stuff. I think she worked at the state hospital down the street. They would go out behind the state hospital. Everybody would gossip. Their bosses weren't around. And it was a sanctioned way for them to get out of the office and have a little bit of this time together. So the idea of a placebo means that we are offering something to somebody that is chemically inert, or however you want to describe it. But what we're saying is, I am going to present this in a way that makes you believe it will be helpful.
Let's take a quick break. Then when we come back, you can share a few experiences that you've had with clients where it's been particularly helpful.
Okay, great. Did you know that Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors? But did you know that indoor air can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air? Okay, breathe easy with Air Doctor. It's the award-winning air purifier that eliminates 99.99% of dangerous contaminants like allergens, viruses, smoke, gases, mold spores, and more. Air Doctor was voted Best Air Purifier by Newsweek. So it's no surprise that 98% of Air Doctor customers agree their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier. Unlike other air purifiers, Air Doctor captures invisible particles 100 times smaller than standard HEPA filters. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use promo code Flusterclux to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, plus a 3-year warranty, an $84 value free. Get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com. airdoctorpro.com using promo code Flusterclux.
I think one of the most important cleanses that we overlook is, ironically, cleansing the unhealthy cleaning products from your home. Here's the truth. Many conventional cleaning products are filled with harmful chemicals that can silently compromise your health. These products irritate your skin, disrupt your hormones, and even pollute the air inside your home. What if there was the most simple solution you could imagine? And it's called Branch Basics, that provides an all-natural concentrate. Then you just fill all the bottles that come with a set, from all-purpose cleansers, hand washing, bathroom cleanser, even laundry detergent. Branch Basics is here to help you make the switch. Their premium starter kit includes one powerful concentrate that replaces dozens of toxic cleaners. That makes it easier than ever to detox your home. From scrubbing counters and washing laundry to cleaning your bathroom and even rinsing produce, this plant and mineral-based formula does it all without harsh chemicals. No fragrances, parabens, endocrine disruptors, and synthetic preservatives, so you can trust it's safe for babies, pets, and anyone with sensitivities. Branch Basics is biodegradable, human-safe, and making it ideal for families with pets or children. It was founded by 3 women, each with transformative personal experiences that inspired their mission. So check out their website. Overcoming chronic health challenges to discover the power of toxic-free living, their journeys are proof of the life-changing benefits of creating a truly healthy home. Make this year your year to say goodbye to toxic products. Right now, our listeners get 15% off the premium starter kit by using code FLUSTER at branchbasics.com. That's 15% off your new Branch Basics premium starter kit at branchbasics.com with promo code FLUSTER. Make 2025 your cleanest, healthiest year yet with Branch Basics. That's 15% off using code FLUSTER at branchbasics.com.
Go to your bathroom vanity and count how many skincare products you have sitting there. And I have 15. I don't even remember what half of them do, but here's the thing. You can get those same results with JLo Beauty's Deluxe Kit, the one-and-done skincare solution that is clinically proven to boost your skin's radiance and luminosity for an immediate and lasting glow. The secret is JLo Beauty's 5-step routine featuring 5 multitasking formulas designed to cleanse, refresh, and prep your skin to take on the day. That JLo Deluxe Kit is an easy-to-follow morning and evening solution that gives your skin a smoother, visibly brighter look, improves the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, and protects against UVAs and UVBs. Get more glow for less with your skincare routine. Try JLo Beauty Deluxe Kit for 60 days. And if you're not completely satisfied, just return the bottles, even if they're empty, and you will get your money back. Get the only skincare routine you'll ever need. Head to jlobeauty.com/Flusterclux to receive 20% off plus 3 free limited time offer gifts. Head to jlobeauty.com/Flusterclux for 20% off and 3 free time limited offer gifts, a $175 value. jlobeauty.com/Flusterclux. Okay, so now back to the show. All right, so this use of placebo. Now, just so you know, like the American Medical Association says that the use of placebo is unethical, which is interesting.
Well, it crossed my mind on the whole phony knee surgery component.
yeah, right.
I hope there was a reduced price.
Well, I don't know. It was more effective. Yeah. I think there are certain ethical guidelines for those studies. So you go in knowing that you're in a clinical trial. You may get the sham surgery or you may get the real surgery. So you know what you're signing up for.
Okay.
Yeah. Michael Yapko told me that several years ago, you might remember this, I'm not sure, but they did a big study looking at cognitive therapy's effectiveness for insomnia versus sleeping medication like Ambien. And the cognitive therapy kicked Ambien's butt. It was like in USA Today, like therapy better than medication for sleep. And the prescriptions of Ambien, what would you think would happen based on those? Do you think that prescriptions would go up or down?
Well, you would expect they would go down, but then you would also expect that perhaps people said, I didn't know there was a pill that could help me with this.
Yeah, right. What saith you about this Ambien? Yeah, so the sales of Ambien went up like 40%.
Wow.
Yeah. But if we put it into the context of you helping your anxious child or you helping any child in your life, think of yourself as the human placebo. And you know that there are kids that will do stuff as long as they have their blankie with them. So if you read Harry Potter, Ron was really worried about trying out for Quidditch, right? And so Harry gave him some confidence potion. And then Hermione was really mad that Harry used it on something as stupid as Ron trying out for Quidditch. Harry said, I didn't give him the real potion. What do you think I am? But Ron went and just felt like he was a superhero as he was trying out for Quidditch because he had the suggestion. So I'm not saying that you should deceive your kids in this, but I think what I'm really saying is that recognize the power of your words, both in the permanent and the positive expectancy way and in the placebo way.
So what might be a phrase or a sentence or a conversation a parent would have where they would use that helpful placebo that you're speaking of verbally?
You're the human placebo and you're giving them kind of the figurative placebo rather than a literal placebo. So I wouldn't say, so say you have a little kid who's afraid to go to their ice skating lesson. I wouldn't say, well, here's the magic saltine. And if you eat this, it'll make you, but I would say, we know that the way you think and the way you imagine this experience has a big impact. And you might even give an example of a placebo. You might even say, like, remember in Harry Potter when Harry gave Ron the confidence juice? You might say, remember when we were playing around with your little cousin who was 4 and we told him that if he drank this special water that would make him run fast and he went and ran around like crazy? You might give him some examples of that. And you can say to them very directly, my words and my belief in you and what I know about you, I'm going to be your placebo. I'm going to be your magic saltine. I'm going to be your confidence juice. So I want you to hear from me that this is something you can do. I want you to say that. And you can be really upfront about it. you can teach them this language. One of the things that's interesting about placebos is that with pain has a huge placebo response. Even when we tell people that we're giving them a placebo, it still has an amazingly positive effect. So even when we tell kids what we're doing, even when we pull back the curtain on this and introduce them to this concept, it's still effective. And it really is helpful if your kid is going into a situation in which they are uncomfortable, maybe they're having a medical procedure or something like that. You can say to them, let's come up with a magic, and you can put it in air quotes, right? Let's come up with a magic thing that we do that is really going to tap in to the power of placebo. Kids like this game. They like this language, but you don't have to be coy about it. You don't have to be cagey about it. It's a really good thing for kids to understand. I had a situation with a young man that came to see me a while ago. And just to make a longer story shorter, his dad was giving him baby aspirin that he was to take when he was at school when he was having panic. Now, the kid didn't know that it was baby aspirin. The dad did. When they came back to see me after I had the first session and I didn't know the dad was giving him the baby aspirin, the kid said to me, I've been doing really well. I haven't had to take any of my anxiety medication, which was great, but he was taking baby aspirin. That was what was creating the response. So once I gave him something else to do, once I taught him how to respond differently to his panic, then that fake placebo went away. And I would say, was I a human placebo? I think I was, right? Because I was saying to him, I know how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do this. I know that it will work for you if you do it. I was just making those suggestions. The language that we use is really important. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's one more thing I want to tell you about.
Does it begin with the letter P?
Yes.
Oh, good.
It's about pomegranates. No, I'm just kidding. It has to do with placebo, but it has to do with pain, which is also a P word. But one of the things that happens is that when you read a book, you learn a lot of things because you're doing research. So when I was writing the anxiety audit, I was learning these cool things. Here's something that I learned about placebos and pain. And we're talking about catastrophic thinking in this chapter. This is the chapter on catastrophic thinking. Researchers were very interested in the family processes related to childhood pain, because chronic pain and childhood pain is one of those things that just has such a high price, and kids can be really, really get caught up in these pain cycles that are quite devastating. So I'll just read from the book. It says, an abundance of evidence points to the connection between parental catastrophizing about a child's pain and a higher degree of disability, which means lower participation in activities, decreased attendance at school. Interestingly, the outcomes from this study, how a parent talks about pain and what happens to a child in these situations, are separate from the child's own reported pain intensity. So they ask kids to rate their pain on the pain scale, which is a whole nother topic. I don't think you should do that. But say a kid says, well, my pain is 3. Not so bad. On a scale of 1 to 10, my pain is a 3. My pain is a 4. If a parent is catastrophic in the way they talk about their child's pain, that child will have an impairment in their life, in their activity, that is much more reflective of like an 8 or 9 on the pain scale. Even though the kid is saying it's a 3 or a 4, the parents talking about the pain, the parents' use of the language, the permanent language, the catastrophic language is powerful enough to impact a kid in a dramatic way. Yeah.
Conversely, a child in pain can be mollified and calmed by an even-keeled parent who helps them understand that it's temporary.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. And, we see that in the most basic of ways, right? The little kid falls down and scrapes their knee and then stands up and looks at your face. What is your reaction? And we know that the way that parents talk about discomfort, the way they talk about pain, the way they talk about mood, when I see parents and they are so understandably, I get it, but they're so anxious or panicked about their child's distress, they are modeling for them that this is an emergency, They're worried that it's not going to go away. I mean, I've had parents say to me, what if this is who she is? What if we can never get her out of this? And that's that permanence. And we really want to have that opposite approach, which is me saying, so when things are better in 6 months, what do you think you're going to experience? That's called seeding. And that's called future focus. But all of that stuff is using language that says you are changeable and you are malleable. People probably get sick of me saying this because I say it a lot, I think, and I just don't remember when I say it. But if I had to focus on something that can concretely make a big difference, and that's not that hard to do if you pay attention to it, changing your language about the permanence versus the malleability of your child's brain is really something that you can focus on immediately. Because kids don't develop their sense of autonomy or their sense of confidence based on everything always going perfectly. I do this thing when I'm meeting with adults, and I have them all think about something in their past that if they were bragging about themselves, it would be something that they feel really proud about, some accomplishment. So I have everybody bring something up. And then I say, I guarantee you that the thing you brought up, the reason that it came to your awareness, the reason you thought about it, wasn't because it was easy. It wasn't because everything went as planned. It was like, oh my gosh, we made that plan and it worked out swimmingly. It was because you didn't know whether or not you were going to be able to pull it off. That you didn't know if you were going to be able to finish your degree. You didn't know if you were going to be able to heal from your breast cancer. You didn't know if you were going to be able to blah, blah, blah. And you did. And that's why when I bring up that suggestion, that's what comes to your mind. Yeah. It's letting kids experience those things and with love and support and guidance, helping them get to the other side. And that's the malleability that we want to talk about.
That's great. Well, I think we've done a service to your clients this afternoon. You're all warmed up.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about who's coming in this afternoon. One is a fairly new person to me, so I am still introducing her to this particular flavor of marinade. The other two know it. The other two got it. So, yeah. But I think as you can tell, I like talking about this, and the creativity and the joy that I get from my work is not from sitting with kids and making lists of all the things they worry about. It's taking it up a level and teaching them how are we really going to give them some skills to manage this life that we're living, which is bumpy.
Lynn Lyonsing them.
Yeah. Well, that's usually used in a negative way. So I have kids that when their parents come to see me and maybe they don't bring their kids and then they go home and the kids will go like, not the teenagers, but the little ones will go like, oh boy, did you just go and talk to that Lynn Lyons again? They can totally hear when their parents are talking about
Don't
me.
you Lynn Lyons me.
Yeah.
Well, see, when you were in grad school writing all those papers, if someone had told you that you would one day be a verb.
Yeah. Right?
You'd think, hey, this worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I know. That was like that cute little kid that was like, if we had time machines, Lynn Lyons, we would need to come see you at all. You wouldn't have a job. He said, because we'd all go into the future and see how it worked out. It was so cute. Yeah. I was like, that's pretty smart. Yeah.
That's good.
Thanks for listening. And if you found this podcast helpful, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps other people find this information.
And if you'd like to dig deeper on any of these topics, we have specialized playlists on our Spotify profile, and the link is in the show notes. Topics like teens, depression, and OCD. Bye, Lynn.
Bye, Robin.
Are you a parent in need of a laugh and a little escape? Look no further. Parenting is a Joke is the podcast you've been waiting for. Hey, I'm Ophira Eisenberg. I'm a stand-up comic and parent. And each week I chat with one of my top comedian pals who, just like you, are juggling careers, busy lives and schedules, and raising a family. You can expect candid stories, hilarious mishaps that happen on stage and at home, and just a lot of laughs. There's no expert advice here. Well, actually, sometimes a good idea does sneak its way in, but mostly just pure, relatable fun to remind you that we're all in this parenting adventure together. New episodes of Parenting is a Joke drop every Tuesday, so tune in, get ready to laugh, unwind, and maybe even feel a little bit better about your own parenting. Because sometimes that's exactly what your therapist, pediatrician, and bartender ordered. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform.